very exciting. Not sure where we're heading, but we're heading somewhere. We know where we are. Just here we've got the lower reaches of the Snowy River. Flows out to the ocean just down here. I'm with the lad.
I'm with my dad.
Yeah, we're just going to poke around for a few days down in this coastal country. And yeah, we might wet a line out in the surf, see if we can catch a bit of Australian salmon or something like that. Just going to poke along. Not real sure where we're going to get to. See how it goes. What do you reckon?
Sounds like a plan.
I think what we might try and do is find a spot just up here somewhere on the river where we can pull over. I'm getting a bit hungry.
Yep.
Anyway, wherever we get to, come along with us.
This is the Snowy River. Flows out to the sea just down here. We'll have a look at that later on, but it's not as obvious here, but just up the river a little bit, it was really shallow. There must be something going on with the tides pushing up and the water coming down. Just dumps all the sediment and silt. It's only a foot deep just up there for the full width of the river by the looks of things. Bloody great wrap. This is awesome. Better than Subway.
Try me best. Just putting a stick in to see if the tide's coming in or out.
Behind me there you've got the entrance to the sea, or where the Snowy River breaks through the dunes into the ocean. So that's the end and the terminus of the Snowy River. We've done a couple of trips on the upper reaches of the Snowy River recent times. It's a pretty spectacular river. We love it. The full extent of it is just awesome. I've always had this thought in the back of my mind is to explore from one end to the other of the Snowy River. When you stand at a spot like this and you've got the entrance behind you, it just sort of reminds me that what am I doing about that ambition? Sure. It's a great spot here. This is just out of Marlow. I think it's probably half reasonable fishing in here too. But what a cracker of a day. I suspect we're pretty fortunate. You wouldn't see it like this too often. There's barely a ripple on it. It's like glass. But our plan for today is to head further up this coast road, a place called Cape Conran, I think. We're walking through a patch to get to the beach down here where the mouth of the Snowy is, and you go through this literal rainforest, or vine rainforest as it's often referred to. It's very similar to a traditional tropical rainforest, except it's considered to be a dry rainforest, which my understanding is it means there's much less material on the ground, so it's a bit more open. But look how dark it is. We've just walked 20 meters off the beach into this rainforest, and it's just it's dark. It's still only middle of the afternoon. It's beautiful. It's full of birds too, but I think I've just scared them off.
So we weren't real sure where we're going to get to earlier, and we're probably still not exactly sure where we're going to get to. Just up here a bit, there's Cape Conran. There's a campground, Parks Victoria campground up here. I think given the time of the day, we might just get set up for the night, get down on the beach and have a bit of play around. Might even throw a few lures out, see if we can get onto some of those salmon. Be very surprised if we do, because it would be a first.
Something pretty special about being down the beach in the middle of winter. I mean, we've got some pretty balmy conditions at the moment, so it doesn't really feel like the middle of winter, but there's no one around. There's a couple of surfers out here having a surf. The lad's having a bit of a fish. Got it to ourselves effectively. There's not a breath of wind down here on the beach in the middle of winter. It's just fantastic. It's getting on a bit, so we'll have a bit more of a bum around down here, a bit more of a play. I suspect we won't catch any fish, but that's alright. At least we're down here having a crack, or the lad's having a crack. There's a few brave, where are they? A few brave dudes out there having a bit of a surf. The water's, well, I haven't actually tested it, but it is the middle of winter, Southern Ocean. The water's cold. Let's not pretend otherwise. There's not too many swimmers out there, and I'm not going to be the first one. This is awesome. This is awesome. We usually have the fire going much earlier than this, but oh, we've been down the beach bumming around and having a play, and time got away from us. Alright, given it's the middle of winter, of course, so it's just after 5 o'clock. The sun's certainly gone down. Anyway, we're not going anywhere. Bloody get the fire going, get a feed on, and probably boil the billy. Lad's splitting up a bit of wood. Oh, that was hard. This is great. It's good just to get away, and you know, don't have to do anything particularly adventurous or overexerting or anything. It's just getting out and doing something. Just getting out there. It's great being able to cart our own firewood around. You certainly can't collect it at a place like this, so you've got to buy it somewhere on the way. That's interesting, here's a fact. The ability to carry firewood on the truck was actually the cornerstone of the whole build for our camper, our Ultra Turo. If we couldn't carry firewood, the design failed. that was the number one thing that everything else was built around. It's funny how it works out.
So tonight we've decided to have burgers for tea. So we've got tomatoes, spring onion, all the burger type stuff. And we're gonna have eggs, bacon and burgers on our burgers. So it's a burger with the lot. Some red stuff, some more green stuff, some olives. Oh, look at that.
Put them on there. Is that what you want?
Yep, that'll do.
The other one?
Stay.
One on there like that?
Yeah. Burgers with the lot. I'll go for the plate. There you go. Hamburger with the lot. The burgers are better at Cape Conran.
Righto, what do we do here? We just close the top up.
Bit of that.
Look at that. What we need, we should have whittled a stick so we could put a stick through there with a little flag on. Hey? That would have been alright.
That would have been.
There you go. Bloody hell, look at that. Cape Conran burger. Get your laughing gear around. Alright?
Very good.
Well done, mate. That's awesome. Look forward to it. I'm going to sit down and get me laughing gear around it. Let's get into it. This is huge. How am I going to get my bloody chops around this? Finished? Yep. Must have been good. Well, there's so much to like about this. The lad split the wood, the lad cooked the dinner. We go for the trifecta and the lad can make a cup of tea after dinner. Or the quadrella and the lad can wash the dishes.
That might be wishful thinking.
Wow, we had a cracker of a meal. Burger with the lot. Best way to top that off is a nice cup of tea. I reckon we might have a little treat to go with our cup of tea. We might just have some, what are they? Passion fruit yo-yo. We might indulge 1 or 3 of them each and that'll probably see us done for the day. Don't tell anyone though. Now that's probably it for the day. We'll see you tomorrow. Morning. It's fresh too. 3 or 4 degrees I think, according to the thermometer back on the truck. Just watch this wave. Just decided to go for a bit of a walk. The sun's not long come up. Going to have a bit of a fish on our way down. There's an estuary or an outlet, the Wingen River. Not sure if it's open to the sea or not at the moment, but it flows out just down here behind us. We're just going to go for a walk down there this morning. Oh, it's cold. Fresh. There's no one here. We've got the place to ourselves. No one. Probably because it's so cold.
no luck. Better keep trying. What? Come on. He's slippery, eh?
Yeah.
You can tell we're not seasoned fishermen when we don't know how to hold a fish.
Lucky he hasn't got any poisonous spines, or has he? Well, as it turns out, today's the most successful day we've had fishing for a long time. The lad got his personal best on Australian salmon, i.e. probably the only one he's ever caught. And we didn't, well, so far, haven't thrown away our lure. Yesterday's session was a little bit expensive. I'm going to have to find some bacon and eggs for breakfast because I don't think fish is on the menu, but things are looking up.
The shadows of this quiet town, I see you there, your feathers on the ground. Your eyes are heavy with the weight of the world, lost in a life you never could afford. Even if you never flown before, you can take a chance and try once more. Don't let your worries weigh you down, down, down. You can still take flight, although you're earthbound. To rise above these crowds, stuck in the dust of the life that you found, with nowhere to go, no higher ground.
This is the Wingen River. It's looking a little bit ordinary, but I suspect what's happened is it's been opened recently to the ocean and the water levels have dropped right down. It's a lot lower than we've certainly seen it in the past. It's either less inflows or it's been opened and drained everything out that would normally back up over a period of time. It's quite fascinating, really. Yeah, it's good to see it change. It's good to see it in different conditions. Gives you some perspective about what goes on and how it all works. Well, I'm not real sure how it's working here, but whew, that took us about an hour. Getting a bit peckish now, and given that we won't be eating fish for breakfast, we probably need to get back and cook up something else.
Even if you never flown before, you can take a chance and try once more. Don't let your worries weigh you down, down. You can still take flight, although you're earthbound. You're earthbound.
Well, I was sort of on the money. Well, not sort of. I was on the money. So with that Wingen River being so low, I thought it must have been open recently, as I suspected. Well, it turns out that, yeah, it was open very recently, like now. It's open. The lad's just gone arse up trying to get down to it. I'm not sure. I think it might be a bit undercut here. I'll be careful. The lad just got caught out. Now the lad can't get back up. Well, we might have a bit of an explore. This is quite exciting. By all accounts, it doesn't happen too often, and we're fortunate to be able to witness it. So the water had obviously backed up in the estuary enough, or possibly was spilling at some stage, particularly if it had a bit of wind behind it or something. You can see the high tide mark of the estuary, and it's effectively downhill from there to the ocean. So you wonder if it just gets so heavy and the winds align and it just cuts through. And it would have been interesting to see it when it was at capacity, I think. That's awesome. I think we're quite privileged or quite fortunate to be able to experience it like this.
It's not the earliest of starts for us getting away from camp this morning, or actually this afternoon. So we've left that campsite down at Cape Conran. We're going to head further east to Bem River, a place called Pearl Point. And we've been looking at some maps and we've got a little bit of conflicting information about seasonal road closures. The rooftop map suggests that this track that we've just turned onto is actually subject to seasonal closure. Now, I did some homework before I left because I wanted to travel along here, and it suggested it wasn't closed, and that was using a site called MapShare, which lists all the track closures, and it doesn't have this listed as closed. There's an old sign there that suggests that it's closed. So I had a bit of phone signal back there. Just got onto the MapShare site. Yep, it's not closed. It's not listed as closed. So that's our defence, Your Honour. I just pulled up to get a bit of wood. There's a nice elevated log there, the right size, but when we opened her up, start cutting through it, it's actually rotten. Not much wood in it. We'll take what we've cut up. It'll be better than nothing, but yeah, I won't bother cutting any more up. I think we can do better than that.
one's a bit drier. And we've got a couple of rounds off a log over there, and it's actually quite damp. But sitting up here in the sun for a couple of days, that'll dry out pretty quick. We've got plenty of wood, with 2 or 3 days worth of wood with us already anyway, so this might be good for the next trip. Good wood, once it dries out, it'll be bloody a ripper. Let's go. Probably not going to catch too many more fish. We just saw a seal just in the shallows. Would only been a couple of feet of water. Any fish that were out there, I reckon he's going to snap them up for lunch. The lad got about 3 or 4 I think earlier over a 10-minute period. Maybe that's the end of our fishing. I remember years ago I was camped just down the coast a bit. I was camped with my dad and my brothers, and I don't know, 3 or 4 nights. And as my old dad would say, put the old donger up and we'll camp in that for the weekend. The old canvas tent. Oh, we're having a fish and had a fire and all that sort of good stuff. That's funny, the things you remember. I remember one night a native bush rat or an antechinus got into the tucker box and played havoc. So we managed to catch it and set it free. Anyway, we took it down the beach and this thing was running everywhere. I feel like I'm going to wear this, the old bag. The old bag's it's sun drenched, I think. Oh, careful, 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 careful. Dave's good wood there, I think. We spent ages chasing the old antechinus around down the beach. And yeah, you had a fish and play in the cold water and all that sort of stuff. But you remember it. That's the thing, you remember those times. No major expedition or, there's nothing hard about it. It was just out there, doing it. And I think that's what is good about trips like this. Just out there with the lad, just doing it, whatever it is. If I can get the match to light. This is all part of that making memories thing. In years to come, the lad will be down here with his family and he'll be, I remember your grandfie trying to get the fire going, trying to be some old bushy, using a banksia, too bloody green, it's never gonna quite. It's funny the things you remember. And I'm sure just that moment will come out at some stage in years to come. So yeah, I recall being down here years ago with my family and you just remember that stuff. Ooh, I remember that for a week or two. Just lost all the hair off me. Yeah. But you remember that stuff, it sticks with you forever. The lad will remember this day forever. It's the biggest bag limit he's ever caught in a session, in a day, on a trip. Have a look at that. That's worth carrying around. That's firewood gold there, thanks to me mate Dave. I'm pretty sure that's some of his supply. The old ironbark, or red box probably, for special occasions. And this is a special occasion. We're making memories. The lad's having a bit of a lie-in. Had a bit of a big day yesterday. The birds are quite active this morning. There's little wrens getting into the grass and bits and pieces everywhere. It was quite night. We had the place to ourselves, which is always good. We weren't going to have a fire this morning. Well, that was our plan last night while we were toasty warm. A change in temp changed the way we look at things. We only need enough fire this morning to warm the fingers, and we'll boil a billy, fill the thermos up. And now that we've got a fire going, we might even have a cook up. We had a good feed last night. The lad cooked up some enchiladas. That was a great feed. We've even got some leftovers for smoko, I think. It was bloody ripper too. I don't think we've done it before. No, we've seen others do it. Take a bit of inspiration from some of the crew that we follow. I think Tyler Thompson cooks the enchiladas pretty regularly. Well, I don't see too much meat going into his, whereas that's all that went into ours. Anyway, I'll split a bit of wood up and get the billy on, eh? Somebody's cut something pretty big up, and the reality is the only thing they're good for is chopping block, I think, so we'll certainly make the most of it. That's tinder dry there. Good wood. This makes all the difference. You can get your billies up into that heat rather than sitting down in the fire and trying to build the fire around it. It's one of the best bits of camping gear I've ever bought. I know I bang on about it, but it just makes things so much easier. And of course the other thing is, I've had no impact to the campsite. This keeps us warm, it cooks what we need to cook, makes collecting firewood easy, or minimises the collecting of firewood. Might not necessarily always be easy, but look at that, that'll boil in no time. I actually did something a bit different last night, and I boiled the billy and filled my thermos up before I went to bed. With the theory being that if I had to cook on the gas this morning, it'll take less time, less effort, less energy. But even now that I've got a fire going, that'll heat up and boil in no time. The thermos is preheated. Well, this is getting a little bit overwhelming. 2 billies boiling at once. Get that one on so that can sit on the side and draw. Let's not draw pictures. Can't sit it there, it's going to keep boiling. So sit it down there. That only took a couple of minutes. That's awesome. I think the experiment was a success. Now this is the tough bit. Getting the water out of there, into there, without spilling a drop. Let's see how we go. It's interesting, so I didn't spill any. It's probably an inch down, so you lose a fair bit in evaporation. That's pretty good. Did you get up nice and early to go for fish this morning? No. And then went back to bed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Bit of green stuff. Might be enough here for 2 each.
Oh.
Put the grits on there as well. Oh, look at that. Goodness me. Oh dear. How are we going to get our laughing gear around this? Now, Big Brother Junior's got a way of closing these up so you don't wear it all, but yet to learn his secret. But anyway, breakfast burrito. Chorizo, bacon, mushroom, egg, bit of green stuff, grated cheese, and your sauce to your liking. This is Sydenham Inlet, or Bem River. Bit of a mecca for fishers, but by all accounts it's a bit easier if you've got a boat. We're originally going to have a bit of a fish here, but we decided just to concentrate on having a fish off the beach. This is a beautiful spot, particularly a day like today. There's barely a ripple on the water.
The old coast road this morning from Bem River through to Cairn River. That's a good little drive through there. Now what we're doing is we've turned off on the West Wingen Road. We're going to head down to a place called Wingen Inlet. By all accounts there's some good camping down there, and the plan is to camp there, maybe go for a wander, a few little walks by the looks of things, and probably throw a few lures out to the surf again, maybe even in the estuary, Wingen Inlet. All this country that we're driving through, by all accounts, was burnt in the big fires of 2019, 2020 in the summer. Burnt right through this country at the same time as when Malakuta got impacted by fire, and we've all heard about that on the news. So it's great to see it, how it's come back though. Like, I'm not sure exactly how hard it burnt through here. It looks like it's ground here and there, but it's come back with a vengeance. It's thick, scrub, looks really good. But that is, 3 or 4 years after the fact, so I suspect there's still pockets out there that were scorched and are struggling to come back. But along this road it's looking pretty good. Lots of wildflowers starting to come out.
We've arrived down at the campground at Wingen Inlet. There's a little estuary down here, flows out to the coast. So we're just going for a walk. Looking at the map, it could be a bit of a hike, K or so. The lad's got the fishing rod, he's pretty keen after yesterday's efforts. You know, we'll wander along this track here, see what we find, poke on over to the beach, have a bit of a fish, and we're probably not really set up to fish in the estuary. The water looks like it's down a fair bit, so I suspect it's open to the sea. Maybe that's not unusual for here, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's go and have a look, see what we can find.
It's just the wave.
Just out the back here, I'm pretty confident, a little bit confident, possibility. There's some little hooded plovers there. Very hard to film, they're quite elusive, only little birds. They're just keeping the same distance in front of me all the time. But by all accounts, there's only like 450 of them in Victoria, so they're very rare. So to be able to see them here, that's awesome. But out the back here, this is the scary out here. Rocky outcrop. By all accounts, there's a colony of little penguins and Australian fur seals. Hope I got that right. I wasn't pulling your leg.
There's a whole heap of them on that.
Oh, there is too. Oh, look at them all.
Yeah, oh, the whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
Just over here, we've got the outflow of Wingen Inlet flowing out here. The lad's having a bit of a fish in the deeper water where it flows out. We're not having much luck today. I'm not sure if it's just because of the tides or whether the fact that there's an abundance of these seals around and they've got the catch before us. But it doesn't matter really, because we're just out here having a crack and having a bit of play and just out here doing it. We've got the place to ourselves. Can't complain about that. How good's this, eh? So we've got our version of a charcuterie board.
Charcuterie board.
Charcuterie board. Some people might call it hors d'oeuvres, horses d'oeuvres, nibbles, snack, appetizer.
Cheese platter.
A charcuterie board. Whatever it is, if we eat it all, we probably won't want our Scotch fillet steak and veggies for tea. So we better not eat it all. How good's this? We've just got the lake just out the back here. If we're quiet, if I shut up, you'll be able to hear possibly the seals out in the background. Ooh. Better shut that. Get the possums out. Morning. Oh, it's a bit warmer this morning. Not quite as cool. A bit fresh, but not quite as cool. What is it? Oh yeah, 5.9, 6 degrees. Heat wave. Plan is to have a quick breakfast this morning. Boil the billy, fill the thermos. Quick breakfast, pack up and hit the road. Wow, that was an interesting night. We had lots of visitors. Well, don't know what happened once we went to bed, but while we were still up, we had, what did we have? Brush-tailed possum, bandicoot, multiple bandicoots, and oh, there was an antechinus, quite big actually. It was a big bugger, but it was a bit elusive. Couldn't film it. They obviously knew. Plenty of practice. Where there's people, there's tucker. The possum, he was determined to get in. Yeah, that was a bit of fun. But clearly they're pretty comfortable, confident, acclimated to be around humans, because literally they were coming up under your feet, under your legs, under your chair. That was awesome actually, it's good. Right, let's get the billy on. So I had another go last night, tried to prove me theory. Fill the thermos up with boiling water the night before, so when we got to use the gas, it's a lot less effort, time required to boil a big pot of water. So we'll just we'll see if we can prove that theory, but I reckon I'm onto something. Look, steam already. Just going to go with an old favourite this morning. English muffins, butter, marmalade. Mum's homemade orange marmalade. Mum's homemade blood plum. That's awesome, and it's getting rare. How good's this? Kitchen working. Drawers, kitchen unit slides out, pops down, fridge, easy access. The downside, yeah, there's always a downside. It's just a little bit fiddly now, but if I want a plate or a chopping board, I've got to slide this forward. And of course with the pots on the cooker, that gets a little bit awkward. I have to think that through a little bit beforehand, which I didn't do this morning. So yeah, that's the downside. Obviously there is a door on the front, but once this is opened up, you can't get in there either. There we go, lumpy water. That only took a couple of minutes for the thermos water. I think my theory is solid. This is the hard bit. Getting it in the pot without spilling it all. There you go. So I didn't let that boil for very long at all, and it probably, I'm half an inch less, 12.5 mil less in my thermos than when I started. Evaporation. There you go. 2 litres of water ready for our roadside cuppers. The other interesting thing in there, 2 litres of thermos water. That's lots of roadside pee stops. There you go. Place for everything, and everything's got its place. I just thought I'd take a moment and show you bit of a map that we've been using just as we poke along the coast here. Far East Gippsland Backroads Tour Guide. These are published by the government, DECA, Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action these days. Constant name changes. This has actually been an awesome little map. So it's got a number of highlighted touring routes, and there's notes on the back aligned with each of those routes, and track notes and points of interest and all that sort of stuff. I thought I'd take the moment while we're waiting for the pot to boil, which I'm just informed is boiling, so I'll stop that. Bit of info up here about the difficulty, or the track rating, lack of difficulty if you like, road closures, seasonal closures. So what we've been doing is we headed off here, and we've sort of followed some of this, one of these tours to a certain extent, not 100%, but to a certain extent. So we headed off from here, Marlow, this is the Princess Highway sort of running through here, and headed off from Orbost down to Marlow, had a bit of a poke around down there. From Marlow, headed along here to Cape Conran, some great memories there, and hopefully we're making more great memories. From there we headed back out towards the highway, and then you've got the old coast road that turns off to the east and follows pretty much the boundary between the State Forest and the Cape Conran Coastal Park. Heading east, gets onto the Bem River Road, down into Bem River, which we spent a bit of time poking around there, and camped out here at this Pearl Point, back into Bem River, kept following the old coast road out to Cairn River, and then we headed off down this great East Gippsland Backroads Tour number 9. We only did part of that because we turned off it. It keeps going out towards Malakuta and the Betka track and all that country further east, but we turned off that and come down here to Wingen Inlet, which is where we are right now. Anyway, so that's where we are, Wingen. So a series of these, we've linked a couple together. These maps are available for multiple different jurisdictions around the state, or particularly Gippsland. Righto, Billy's boiled. Time for half a cup. So we use that Backroads Tours map in conjunction with our HEMA navigator on the dash built in, and you know, the combination of both of them gives you pretty much all the info you need. Time for a cuppa. We'll get the cooker going, get some muffins on, eh? Got to aerate it a bit of height. Get some air in. Cheers. Not a bad combo. Muffin, cup of tea. Perfect. Well, that's it. I think we're done. What do you reckon?
I think we're done.
It didn't take us too long to pack up. Anyway, that's probably the end of our little trip. 3 or 4 days poking around in East Gippsland along the coast. This trip's been a bit of a first. We've got some new gear, which is a challenge in its own right, so that might come through in the quality of the footage. But it's been a real big learning curve, and it'll continue. That's all part of our journey, is to try something new, and in this case we've got some new videography gear, and not only the audio, but yeah, new camera gear. Hopefully that's reflected in the quality of the footage and the product that we're able to put together. We want to extend ourselves. It's not just about traveling to new destinations, it's about learning new things and doing stuff together. Then there's the flow-on effect of when we get home, is the editing and bringing it all together. So it's just one big learning curve. So hopefully
it worked.
It worked, yeah. So we won't really know. We've had a bit of a sneak peek, but we won't really know till we get it home and put it on the big machine and have a look at it. But we've had a bit of fun practicing, haven't we? Number one cameraman. He does all the hard yards. He gets kicked out on the side of the road. Well, I go up and down the road a few times, and he gets the dust and gets to run up the hills. And you love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. We're learning. It was awesome. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. If you like what we're doing, follow along, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, apparently it helps, and leave a comment. We love the comments, so yeah, we'll try and respond and tell us somewhere else to go, tell us where to go. Anyway, it's all part of it. Catch you next time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Hang on, we'll do that again.
Wait, what do I say?
We'll do both together, okay?
Okay.
Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Was I supposed to say anything?
Well, you can say it as well. See you next time. Ready?
See you next time.
We'll do it again.
Oh, hang on. We're getting a good outtakes reel, aren't we?
Ready? Thanks for watching.
Put your thumb up when you go to say see you next time, so that I know when to say it.
Thanks for watching.
See you next time.